Hey everybody, MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and tonight is like Christmas Eve from wrestling fans, as it is really the first step on the road to WrestleMania. Tonight we're going to be watching the WWE Royal Rumble, and today I'm going to do something completely different and give my predictions for tonight's show, and I'll tell you those right after this. So that's right, guys. Today we're going to be talking about my predictions for the WWE Royal Rumble. This is a wrestling video. I know a lot of people are probably saying, hey Mike, what the hell's going on here? Aren't you an Arcade 1-Up YouTuber? But I don't really like that term because my channel's not about a specific product, brand, home arcade. My channel's always been about me and what I'm interested in. And as you know, I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I'm still very up to date on AEW. I watch it every week. I watch almost every show, but I'm a bit of a lapsed WWE fan. I'm going to be honest. I've always found it hard over the course of the last couple of years to keep up with the weekly TV programming. There's not a lot of wrestling on each show, a lot more entertainment, and I found it a bit of a slog to get through the show, so I've kind of stepped away from my interest in WWE as much, but I have kept up with the pay-per-views. I'm a WWE Network subscriber. It's still the WWE Network here in Canada, and the pay-per-views have been really good. There's been good wrestling and not as much entertainment, and that's always kept me interested. But of course, tonight we're talking about the WWE Royal Rumble, which no matter how bad it seems like WWE is, the Royal Rumble is always entertaining. It's probably the best event they do all year. It's so exciting, not just because the match is so cool, but it also builds so much intrigue on the road to WrestleMania. Anyways, guys, if this is your first time to the channel, please go ahead, do all that YouTube stuff, click the bell for notifications, subscribe, and if you normally watch my videos and you're checking this one out, even though you're probably not a wrestling fan, or if you are a wrestling fan too, thank you so much for the continued support. So first up is the WWE Monday Night Raw Women's Championship match between champion Bianca Belair and her challenger Alexis Cabrera, better known as Alexa Bliss. Now, I'm a big fan of both these women. I don't think Alexa Bliss gets enough credit, not just for her character work, but also her in-ring abilities too. I've been watching her ever since I was a huge mark for NXT back in the day. I loved her pairing with Murphy and Blake and her heel turn. To be honest, she came out one time dressed as Freddy Krueger, so I'm a big horror movie fan too, and that completely won me over. I've loved her run on the main roster. I will admit the stuff with Bray Wyatt maybe wasn't so good. That's not the best version of Alexa Bliss we've seen so far, but she certainly seemed to enjoy playing it. What can you say about Bianca Belair? I mean, she's a star. She's a generational talent. Her in-ring ability is incredible. She can do so much. She has the agility, the power game. She's a once-in-a-lifetime wrestler, in my opinion. Anyways, I do expect these two to have a pretty good match, believe it or not. But I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, Bianca Belair has been champion since last year's WrestleMania. I don't see her losing the title going into this year's WrestleMania. I think she will hold the title for a full year. But there is the X factor of what's going on with Alexa Bliss now, revisiting her time with Bray Wyatt. That storyline I talked about a little while ago. There's been some weirdness with Alexa Bliss and some connection with Uncle Howdy. I don't know necessarily if that ties into Bray Wyatt. We've heard about these other characters that might be with Bray Wyatt. Uncle Howdy may be a different person altogether, but at the same time, Bray Wyatt said he was Uncle Howdy. So this is a bit of an X factor. My gut feeling is Bianca retains with the assistance of whatever's going on with Alexa Bliss and Uncle Howdy and the mystical stuff. So my feeling is everybody's going into it with the belief that Alexa Bliss will have some support from Uncle Howdy and the Bray Wyatt side, but I think, in fact, it will end up costing her the match, and Bianca Belair will retain and go on to WrestleMania. Who Bianca's going to face at WrestleMania is the interesting part, in my opinion. Speaking of Bray Wyatt, we had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, and it's so good to see Bray Wyatt back in WWE and see him in an official match. This has been a wonderful return. Bray Wyatt is one of the most creative people that's ever worked for WWE. He's reinvented himself twice now, reinvigorated his character after it's been grinded to a halt with poor booking decisions. So Bray is back, and I know a lot of people have been upset because it's been a really slow build to him really showing everybody what he is with this new iteration of Bray Wyatt. Then on the other side, we've got Eli Drake, now known as LA Knight. Thank God they got him out of the Maximum Male Models gimmick and let him be himself. Eli Drake has always been a fantastic personality in the wrestling ring, and these two have really turned something that should be so strange into a really interesting angle. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little nervous going into this match because for some reason, they can't just let Bray Wyatt have a normal match. I mean, he's back, it's his first match, and we're already into some weird gimmick stuff. Hopefully by Pitch Black, they just mean like a lights out match that AEW has, and this is like a anything goes type match, and these two tear the house down. We're going to get some spooky shit at some point, obviously, but hopefully it's good, and hopefully they don't tarnish Bray Wyatt already. And I do have to laugh about the fact that this is the Mountain Dew sponsored Pitch Black match. I wonder if there's some kind of Mountain Dew Pitch Black out there. I'm not a big soda drinker, so I wouldn't really know. Anyways, I think this is fun. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's Bray Wyatt's first match back, so obviously I think he's going to go over. My prediction is Bray Wyatt, but again, this is kind of like the Alexa Bliss situation, where there's that external factor of Uncle Howdy and this spooky shit, and you just don't know. Maybe they will come out and cost Bray Wyatt the match. I mean, anything's possible. My prediction's Bray Wyatt, but expect a chance of spooky bullshit costing him the match as well. Moving on, we have the WWE Championship match, and it's the Universal Championship match because both belts are on Roman, between Roman Reigns and the prize fighter, Kevin Owens. Both these competitors are going to have an awesome match. They've always had great matches in the past. This is not the first time they've met for a championship at the Royal Rumble. Got a feeling it's not the last time these two will meet. Kevin Owens has himself in fantastic shape, doing some of the best work of his entire career right now, character-wise. And honestly, this is the biggest storyline going in WWE today, tied in with Sami Zayn being the honorary Uce. I really, really hope Sami's storyline is some kind of arc that will lead to him at WrestleMania, but I think it's more closely tied to Kevin Owens and to Jey Uso, so I expect some Uso shenanigans here and Sami Zayn. Here's my prediction. Roman Reigns is going to retain one way or another. I mean, Roman has been champion for, 3 years now? 3 years and counting? So I don't anticipate Roman losing the title anytime soon. With a reign like that, he's going to go all the way to WrestleMania. And I don't even know if he's going to lose it at WrestleMania this year. It all depends on who he's facing. So I fully anticipate Roman to retain in this match between Kevin Owens and himself. I expect some Uso shenanigans, and I expect the rift between Sami and the Usos to continue during this match, or Sami will be the one that nails it in the coffin for Kevin Owens and lets Reigns actually win the match. Prediction: Roman Reigns will retain, of course. Kevin Owens has no chance. And I mean, anybody who's watched the Rumble for years, you always know the person going up against the champion at the Rumble literally has no chance. When was the last time that a WWE Championship was defended at the Rumble and actually changed hands? It was Sergeant Slaughter and the Ultimate Warrior all the way back in, when was that, 91? The 91 Rumble? Was it the 91 Rumble? Yeah, the 91 Rumble, I think, was the last time the championship changed hands in a single match, all the way back before WrestleMania 7. And then WrestleMania 92, the best WrestleMania still to this day, Flair won it in the match. So yeah, I mean, the Rumble is not a time usually when the WWE Championship changes hands. I could be wrong about that, but I think I'm 100% right. Sergeant Slaughter was the last person to win a championship. Ultimate Warrior lost it. I don't anticipate anything different happening here. So moving on to the Women's Royal Rumble next. My prediction is this will possibly open the show. That's how I would book it anyways, but what do I know? Anyways, the Women's Royal Rumble, it's a very vague card. That's one of the things, most of the surprises at the Royal Rumble the last couple of years have been in the women's division because the women's roster is considerably smaller than the men's. So expect to see some people show up from NXT. Also expect to see some legends return. One thing that I think is pretty much for sure after the shenanigans online last week, don't expect to see the Bellas. I have this gut feeling the Bellas won't be available for this year's Rumble, but expect to see some legends return. Expect to see maybe a Beth Phoenix appearance at some point. But let's get down to the possible winners. And really, it's a pretty slim card of who can win the Rumble. We're looking at the possibility of A, Becky Lynch, who I think has a low probability. We'll get into that in a second. Mommy, Rhea Ripley. Everybody is pulling for Rhea Ripley. They say it's her time. The angle with Judgment Day, I mean, the rest of Judgment Day is just kind of so-so. The best thing out of Judgment Day is definitely Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic go to jail. So stupid. So then you got Rhea Ripley, and then the other option is Bayley. I will throw a fourth option in there of Ronda Rousey again, but I don't think that's possible. So my gut instinct is that Rhea Ripley will win the Women's Royal Rumble. However, so many things at play here. So if Rhea Ripley wins, I believe Rhea Ripley will challenge Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the belt. That's my guess. Becky Lynch wins. Becky Lynch challenges Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the belt. And a lot of people are saying probably Becky Lynch doesn't have any possible shot of winning here, but you got to remember there's that backstory of Charlotte and Becky having this heat, having these problems, and there's a real possibility WWE are smart enough to turn internet rumor and innuendo into a prize fight match. So there's a real possibility Becky can win, and we can finally get that blow up at WrestleMania. The mega powers collide. People will tune into it just to see the car wreck. So that's also a very big possibility. Let's talk about Bayley. All these people, I'm guessing, are going to be going after Charlotte Flair. So Bayley again. Bayley wins. Charlotte right now is in a face position on SmackDown. Bayley's in a heel position. She's, I think, the only remaining four horsewoman that hasn't won a Rumble. She just had a great program with Bianca Belair. Time for her to do something a little bit different. So if Bayley wins, I also see her going after Charlotte Flair. And then my last, I don't know if she's actually going to win the Rumble, but I think this is the program, women's program, going into Mania. Ronda Rousey winning the Royal Rumble yet again, but this time challenging for the Raw Women's title against Bianca Belair. I fully think that's the match we're going to see at WrestleMania this year. Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey versus Bianca Belair. That's the direction I would go in if Ronda is going to participate at WrestleMania. Now there's also a dark horse, Asuka. Asuka has been awesome on the WWE main roster, but never utilized to her full potential, never utilized the way she was in NXT. Some people are talking about an evil Asuka possibly returning, Dark Asuka, and winning the Rumble. Those are all options, but my leading candidate that I think is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble and challenge Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania right now is Rhea Ripley. I think it's Rhea's time. She's got an angle going with Judgment Day. She's got the heel persona, perfect to take on a face Charlotte Flair. So I'm locking in my vote. Rhea Ripley wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Last but not least, we have the Men's Royal Rumble, and this is where the height of the intrigue. As I'm saying, there's 5 possible winners with no clear direction in the women's. It's as open in the men's. Now, I do want to clarify, usually when it's really hard to tell who's going to win the Rumble, as in past years where you didn't really know, there wasn't a leading candidate, like you couldn't tell that they were building Drew McIntyre, you couldn't tell that it was a return for this specific superstar, yada yada yada, it usually leads to either a surprise or a guest appearance. So there's a lot of things to talk about with this Royal Rumble. Some of the surprises, like WWE have been bragging about some people possibly coming in, and they're very excited about the surprises. So we can expect to see some legends, I think, make a return. It's just, we're at the point where you see the legend, and if it's a joke legend, it's kind of a pop. There's been some talk about Road Dogg returning. I don't want to see that. I would like to see the surprises be real surprises. There's some people in NXT that maybe could come up, like you bring up the NXT champion, Braun Breaker. I hate that. I wish they just called him Braun Steiner. Like, I don't understand why call him Breaker. The name is so stupid. Breaker, I'm gonna break him, rip him. So I could see appearance by Braun Breaker. Maybe some of the more higher end NXT people could come up. I mean, NXT is not what NXT used to be, so the appeal of seeing those NXT entrants come in the Rumble just isn't there. I think we will see some returns tonight. Maybe the return of Edge. I don't think Orton's cleared. Like, people are saying that Orton can't go, but Orton would be an amazing return tonight. Literally out of nowhere, Orton coming back would be a big one. There's a possibility we might see John Cena. John Cena could always show up. It's a little bit harder now because he's in that category of The Rock, where he is basically acting right now, so he needs to get certified time off and be there in a official capacity with the insurance and stuff, so you never really know. But I think John Cena could make an appearance, and let's get into the really exciting ones that are rumored. But before we do that, obviously we know about the return of Cody Rhodes. For everybody saying Cody Rhodes is a lock to win, you couldn't be further from the truth. We all know Cody wants that title, but usually when a guy returns like this, if he's going to win, it's kept a surprise. And I think they've told us about Cody from the outset to, as a red herring, to tell us that they think Cody, to make us think Cody could win. But usually when they tell you someone's returning, that's a surefire guarantee that person isn't going to win the Rumble. So I don't think Cody's return signifies a definite Rumble win. I'll just say that out loud. Then we have the potential for two massive legends where I think the roof would actually come off the house. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Of course, everybody's been talking about this. If there is a possibility that there is a bygone favorite that the storyline's been leading to, ladies and gentlemen, it's The Rock. I mean, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. I mean, realistically, it's always been The Rock that's really designated as the head of the Samoan dynasty and his success outside of wrestling as well. We always see pictures online of him taking care of his family. So I get it. Storyline-wise, there's a perfect match there. So there's a possibility of The Rock. There's also the absolute craziness and unpredictability of the glass shattering and Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out. And I mean, what an iconic moment. A person who at the absolute top of their career, unfortunately got accidentally dumped on his head by Owen Hart, suffered a neck injury that shortened his career, and it's amazing that he came back last year, and when he did, I didn't expect much out of the match that he was going to have with Kevin Owens. I thought it was going to be a Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon shit show like we saw a couple years ago during WrestleMania, but him and Owens actually put on a very entertaining Stone Cold Steve Austin style match. I would very much love to see Austin come back in the ring and get one more shot at that WWE Championship. I would absolutely freak out if Stone Cold Steve Austin won a record fourth Rumble. I'm less excited for The Rock, even though The Rock is arguably, not from a wrestling standpoint, but a global standpoint, probably a bigger star. I don't think anybody will ever match what Steve Austin meant to wrestling, and the absolute money he brought in and the way he turned the business around basically all by himself, and an attitude during a very angsty period in world culture. So Austin would be the bigger. But again, I'm always hoping that they don't go guest appearance, because the problem with guest appearance is we know they're not going to win the championship at WrestleMania. They've got other things to do. Steve Austin's not going to stick around and defend his title pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. The Rock is not going to stick around and defend his title pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. While it will be a good storytelling match, it really gives it dead away that they're not going to win at WrestleMania. As exciting as it might be, and they might win and then what, vacate the title? I just don't know. So I'm still hoping that it's an actual wrestler that wins the Rumble. So we do have some believability that Roman and this massive title run could end at Mania. I don't know if there's any other people on the roster. Like, a lot of other people could possibly win. I don't think many of the other returns. There's some word that Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder may be coming back to WWE. The King of the Indies returns to WWE. I know he's with Impact now. I don't know how that deal works. I would love to see Zack Ryder come back and actually get a fair shake, because he seems like he's a really good dude. I watch a lot of his toy chasing videos and stuff like that. He's very interesting, and I love how he's reinvented himself on the independent scene. Dude's in great shape. He's got a good look. I'd like to see Zack Ryder do something cool. I'd like to see him come back in the Rumble. There's been other talk too. Chris Masters has been begging WWE to bring him back for the Rumble. Vision of the masterpiece. So who knows? Who knows who will show up? But at the end of the day, who wins the Rumble? I mean, let's all be honest. The sympathetic favorite and the person we want is Sami Zayn. Everybody wants Sami Zayn to win this Rumble. I mean, this has been the biggest and best storyline of the year. Anybody could say, well, it's really Roman's story. It hasn't been. WWE has been booked around Sami Zayn and his popularity for the last, 5-6 months? Sami Zayn's piece as the honorary Uce has become the big storyline. So I think we're at a really interesting time where if Sami doesn't win, and especially if Sami doesn't participate in the Rumble, you may see the fans turn against this event. Can you imagine, like, the last time The Rock was at the Rumble, he came out to raise... No, that wasn't the last time The Rock was at... I think it might have been. Yeah, the last time The Rock was at the Rumble, he came out to raise Roman's hand, and the fans booed him out of the building. There's a small possibility that if Sami Zayn isn't the winner or doesn't participate in the Rumble, The Rock could win and then have the same reaction. People are going to be upset Sami Zayn didn't win. So I just want to throw that out there. The sympathetic favorite, of course, is Sami Zayn. That's who I'm pulling for with every fiber of my being, because I think that's the best story. That's the story they've done for the last 5 months. Sami Zayn and this amazing arc with the honorary Uce and the Usos. But unfortunately, I don't think Sami Zayn is going to win. I think Sami's storyline, unfortunately, is going to lead to him getting a world title shot at Elimination Chamber in Montreal. He's on the poster, but I think he's going to lose, and he's going to have that Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle moment from the Rumble a couple years ago where he'll lose, but it'll come very close, and then they'll do the standing ovation at the end for Sami Zayn's efforts. That's my guess. And then eventually he's going to go on to Mania and team with Kevin Owens against the Usos for the tag team titles. That's where I see it going. I hope I'm wrong, because the better storyline, honestly, is for Sami Zayn to go into Mania facing Roman Reigns for the belts. People will lose their shit if WWE does that. I'm praying it happens. But I think it's a possibility. We just talked about it. The Rock, obviously head of the table. That's the storyline we think. And of course, everybody is kind of expecting, which I think has been thrown out as a red herring, Cody Rhodes returning from injury. Stated since he came back at WrestleMania last year, he's here to do the thing his dad couldn't and win the WWE Championship. So, of course, Cody Rhodes is a possibility as well. Everything else is, I mean, it's still on the table, but I can't imagine that WWE don't go in one of those directions. Sami Zayn, The Rock, Steve Austin, Cody Rhodes. I don't know who else you throw in there. Maybe John Cena, maybe another part-timer. They love these part-timers at Mania. One thing's for sure. We don't need to see Brock Lesnar win. I've had my fill of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns main eventing Mania. So, my prediction, unfortunately, I'm going to go with The Rock. This is the storyline that's been going on for years. Everybody's waiting for this matchup. Not necessarily is it the most anticipated matchup, but we know what's coming. The Rock versus Roman Reigns. The only saving grace is The Rock came out and said that he wasn't ready to go for Mania. He wasn't in ring shape. He couldn't get ready in time. So I think that's a red herring again. I think he's trying to throw us off the scent, but maybe this leads to next year being that match. And Roman's going to have all the titles for another year. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, tonight at the Rumble, I think we're going to see The Rock win. That's my guess. And if it's not The Rock, dear God, let it be Sami Zayn. So anyways, guys, that's just my quick predictions for tonight's Royal Rumble event. My other prediction is I've got some wings ready to throw in the oven. I've got some chips and some really cool queso dip ready. And I'm looking forward to sitting back and enjoying the best WWE pay-per-view of the year, the Royal Rumble tonight. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen. Who do you think the winners are going to be? Give me your predictions. Let me know what you think. If there's something that I've said that you disagree with, tell me about that too. Get loud, get interactive, tell me about it. Who out there, if you're watching from the home arcade community, is also a wrestling fan, chime in, let me know. I love wrestling, and I want to love WWE again. I'm trying to follow it. I'm trying to get back in the swing. And hopefully tonight is the night where they catch that mystique that I felt for this brand ever since I was 4 years old. The first time I laid eyes on Macho Man Randy Savage and said, I want to be that dude when I grow up. I want to feel that way again. And hopefully tonight is a step in that direction. And Mania, the road to WrestleMania, gets super interesting tonight with some really cool, interesting stuff, great matches and great storylines, and make me feel like a happy kid again watching your product. Anyways, guys, have fun with the Rumble tonight. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you.